Welcome to our Sunday specials. Let's take you through the life of a very interesting young boy. In life, sometimes things are just best imagined, but when they appear in reality, one cannot but be lost in astonishment. In this report, we'll bring you the story, unimaginable story of a 4-year-old boy who has a register of more than 200 Yoruba proverbs and their English translations. Popularly called Adigun Olowe Yoruba, Ola Awakan, in this Sunday special, journeyed to Ibadan to get a grasp of Olamilekan Iyanuoluwa Adebayo's indigenous cultural attributes.
This is not my first time of going on a journey to the ancient city of Ibadan. As I sit in the car, I reflect on the essence of my journey and how a boy of 4 could be so knowledgeable to the extent of spitting out the number of proverbs that an elderly person may not be able to attempt even a quarter of. Ibadan is the city one of Nigeria's established poets referred to as the running splash of rust and gold, flung and scattered among 7 hills like broken china in the sun. Today, one of its homes houses the precocious lad who is the subject of my interest, Adigun Olowe Yoruba, meaning the Yoruba proverb encyclopaedia. Through a narrow path and bumpy road, I got to meet the father with whom I completed the journey to the family home. This boy, who got a loud ovation while displaying in front of hundreds of the NSAS protesters, is the reason I am in Ibadan. He is already the delight of many on social media. Well dressed like a prince in the palace, here he is in an adored Yoruba attire. In this small penthouse, Adigun has come to be a priceless jewel, respected by kings and queens who cherish the Yoruba culture. He confidently exhumes the air of cultural values. Holding firmly to his talking drum, he sits to engage me.
My name is Mr. Adebayo Olamilekan Israel.
He may not be able to have a long conversation, but he could a good number of Yoruba proverbs, poems, and their translations.
But straighting to honor a giraffe does not diminish a bit of our dignity. Be humble.
Even his father, who often prompts him, is always holding on to a piece of paper, while the genius effortlessly recites the proverbs and confidently says their English translations.
Wealth resides inside fields. Whoever desires wealth must edit and build fields.
Adigun, you are just amazing. All these proverbs, you use them to teach people how to behave. This is amazing. How a 4-year-old can have more than 200 proverbs and other things to be a culture ambassador, to teach both the young and the old how to live culturally and how to add value to the society.
I'm a BSc holder.
This is Olamilekan's father. He is a graduate of economics from the National Open University of Nigeria and Ibadan Polytechnic. Olamilekan Adebayo recounts how Adigun was born the same day and time, exactly 1 year after the family had a second stillbirth.
The first one we had was in the year 2014, January. The baby was given birth to after, I think it was around the 5th month, the 5th month of the pregnancy. So we had to transfer the baby from the hospital to University Teaching Hospital here in Ibadan. So after a few months, the baby eventually died.
Olamilekan had delay in speaking after he was noticed to have uttered some words to the amazed parents when he was just a few weeks old. He did not start talking until he was 2 years old, but how he was able to assimilate all he knows gets me wondering.
We are sitting in the room that day. And I now said, Lekan, igbe enru. He just Lekan, igbe enru. I'm so surprised that, how can 3-month-old boy talk like this? From there, he did not talk again.
It was after 2 years that Adigun Olowe did his birthday. I was having a discussion with my wife on that day. And I could remember I said, Aye ko to orun ofeki, which means the world reject the truth. So he said, Aye ko to orun ofeki, the world reject the truth, and the heaven is against deception. Well, I was surprised, but not too surprised, because he has been doing so many wonderful things before that time.
Adigun's paternal grandparents are both dead, but his father likened his gift to that of his grandfather, with whom he shares a striking resemblance.
My late father, who died over 14 years ago, he's so passionate about Yoruba culture and Yoruba proverb and all those things. Whenever he wants to talk, he loves sealing whatever discussion he's saying with Yoruba proverbs, Yoruba poems and all those things that has to do with Yoruba culture.
As Olamilekan recites the proverbs and praises God in Yoruba, the maternal grandmother's reaction caught my attention.
Lord, we not pass from it and give peace.
Owosheni Abiola is his grandmother. She prefers to call him Iyanuoluwa, meaning God's wonder. Mrs. Abiola explains how God had spoken to her about the miracle child that was coming into the family after the first 2 babies died.
Definitely Iyanuoluwa ni lóòótọ́. Àpá yẹn lélẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kò parẹ́ o, nìyẹn. Bó ṣe mú wá sílé ayé nìyẹn.
She says Iyanuoluwa's gift is a confirmation of God's promise to her before he was born. Her prayer is for God to connect him to those who would make him fulfill destiny.
Kó gbé aláàánú kan ṣoṣo tí wọ Iyanuoluwa tó nílò fún ìgbédìde ògo rẹ̀. Torí pé Ọlọ́run ò ní sọ̀kalẹ̀ wá o, èèyàn náà ló máa rán.
Iyanuoluwa demonstrated the bond that exists between him and his grandmother.
I will give her money.
His mother is grateful that God has used her as the vessel to bring Iyanuoluwa to life. She buttresses the story of how the destiny child has come to add glamour to the family.
A member of our household simply will not be able to buy him back at a great value.
I did not expect what Adigun is doing. I did not expect it at all, because before I think he's a slow learner. But after that, he starts speaking by two years. He starts talking small. So that, whoa, what he's doing now, I did not expect it. But to the glory of it is a gift.
Hear him sing the Oyo State anthem flawlessly. He already has some awards in recognition of his contribution to the preservation of culture.
And I'm not sweet too.
He has not allowed his love for culture and tradition to becloud his interest in education.
3 times 1, 3 times 2, 6.
It is time for us to meet with his head teacher at school to understand how he is able to balance between academics and his gifts. Adigun could trace the path to his school. He led the crew. This is the head teacher at this school. She recounts how Olamilekan has been a source of inspiration and a cultural ambassador to other pupils.
He is in nursery 2. We start Yoruba class from primary 1. But when I'm even teaching the higher classes, he would come to me, "Auntie, I know it." Then he would tell me, like a day, there is this poem we usually sing every morning. "I am not a goat. A goat is stubborn, stiff and naughty." He said, "Auntie, I can say it in Yoruba. The other teachers were like, what? Wait. He said, no. Auntie, I can say it in Yoruba. I said, okay, go ahead. He said, ewúrẹ́ jẹ́ran ilé, ó máa ń jìyà púpọ̀ nítorí àìgbọ́ràn rẹ̀. Then he faced the other pupils and said, ẹ̀yin ọmọdé ẹ gbọ́, ẹ má ṣe bí ewúrẹ́, fáyò, fáyò, fáyò.
He sometimes assists the teacher to explain some Yoruba proverbs and poems. Back to Lagos, I further set out to meet with a distinguished professor of Yoruba and a theatre icon who are deep in the Yoruba culture and value system. They confess that Olamilekan is a rare breed that must
I cannot
be
imagine
nurtured.
how he is able to bring this into his cerebellum within the space of 4 years, when at least 2 of those years he would have spent as a toddler and a tattler.
One of the ancestors that rings, nobody can explain that. Science cannot explain it. But we cannot rule it out. We cannot say because science cannot explain it, then it doesn't exist. Because not everything that exists that science will be able to explain.
And Obiwa, Ayajagaska, and money Fiyaje, our parents stop the fight that lead to divorce. Is the baby that suffer the pain?
At a time that most homes have thrown away the cultural essence of their existence and embraced foreign alternatives, Adigun Olowe Yoruba's intervention may just be one that is needed to reawaken the advocacy for cultural renewal at all levels in Nigeria, to guard against indigenous languages going into extinction.
We need another follow.
Ola Awakan, TVC News, Ibadan.
Of course, no longer the beautiful ones are not yet born. The beautiful ones have been born in Olamilekan.